Yeah, this is an exciting day. Obviously, a lot of work goes into getting all this set up and ready to go. And there's a lot of people that are outside of the staff that come into making this happen. So it's really exciting, and it's just great to be out there again with the team and the full team, all the new guys and veteran guys, and seeing them playing out there together, and just kind of visualizing what could be is always exciting. So. You got to take it one day at a time here in camp, and you're trying to build your team as the days go and get them prepared for what hopefully will be a long season, but right now it's just excitement. The biggest thing for me that I was trying to find out personally was, could the things that I believe in work? Like could the things I was taught by Coach Soker and Coach Biggs and Coach Pete and Coach Hawk and all these great coaches, like, would that work in 2024? Or do you have to coach a certain way? And so to have success, I think just build some confidence that, okay, we're doing things, I think, the right way. And then hopefully you can spend the time in the off season to really evaluate things you could do better. And if you can get 1% better as a head coach, and maybe that helps the team get over the hump and get a little further. But I think just you get the nerves probably the first year of like, man, I hope the things I believe in work. And when you see it have some success, that gives you a little bit more confidence. Like, okay, I think I'm on the right track, but there's still a lot of things that I did poorly that I can get better at. And that's the cool part about coaching. You feel like you're constantly learning new things that can make you better. I think it's really more about the daily life than anything, Bob. I think it's like the guy's been going to college for 3 or 4 years. He's been to a fall camp before. He's been in meetings before. So I think a young man like that just has a little more confidence that I know what's coming. I kind of know what to prepare for. Whereas when you're a freshman out of high school, you got a lot of nerves and a lot of anxiety just about like, am I going to the right room? Am I sitting in the right seat? Do I even know where to line? I mean, there's just a lot of like daily things I think that adds anxiety to those guys that, can affect a young guy and make it longer for him to be prepared to play. Some kids come in right away and they fit right in. I mean, it's amazing. Some guys just have that knack. And I think the other guys, it takes longer, not because they're not good players, but there's a lot of things you got to get used to. And I think when you're 21, 22, and you've done it for 4 years, even if it's a different place, there's going to be similarities that allow you to be more comfortable. Just from a program standpoint, we're not a team that's going to build our team through the transfer portal. Not that that's the wrong thing to do. It's just not what I believe in. I believe that our greatest strength is going to be building our team through continuity and through development and creating a place where high school kids, hopefully local high school kids, can come and grow and develop, and that will make a team that's played together for 2, 3, 4 years, and that's how you build good teams, at least from my experience. What we're going to use the transfer portal for is to fill in gaps that can help us get through a season, and so we're going to focus more on graduate transfers, mature guys that are looking for a graduate degree, that are hoping to play one more year of football at a great program, and they can help us fill in the gaps. So you mentioned our defense. We just graduated a lot of starters, and we have a lot of talent that is young, but I didn't want to put the pressure on those guys to have to be doing everything at such a young age. And so, okay, can we fill in the gaps with some older guys that'll help us relieve the pressure of the younger players? Hey, if they're ready to play, great. But if they're not right now, they can create depth for us while they continue to learn to be great. And those guys come in for 1 year, help us win. We help them get a graduate degree, hopefully help them get to the NFL. And now our younger guys have 1 more year to get better. And maybe that same position, we don't need to bring a graduate transfer in the next year because we've gotten older now at that position. So, and then to answer your question on the transfers, I would say Nate Ricina at Mike linebacker from Cal is a guy that we hope is going to have an impact for us. I know Nate from my time at Cal, and we recruited him here when I was at Davis with Coach Hawk, and as a two-way player and a great local talent from the Bay Area. And we're hoping to have him out there in an important role. I think on the D line, you look at our two Ivy League guys, Jacob Syke, Darrell. These are guys that are all conference players at the Ivy League and graduated with degrees from Ivy League schools. And we hope that they not only can fill in the gap left by Zach and Evan and Toki, but they add something different that maybe those guys didn't have. So I think it'll be different, but hopefully they're still as productive. But we'll need those two guys to be successful for us on the D line. In the secondary, Kalani Riddick, Josiah Allen, Trey Carr, Ty Richardson. These are guys that I hope can come in and provide some depth for us on the back end. Cole Batson from Boston College. So tried to bring in a number of older guys that can help us grow our youth at those positions, because we also have some great young players that we know will be great players, but don't want them to feel the stress of having to do that as a freshman. I think that I don't believe in the momentum from the previous year. I do believe in experience and knowledge, right? So if I'm a player that experienced that, then I know it's possible. I've seen it, right? So when the coaches are coaching them or explaining to them what it's going to take, it's not this mystical, I wonder if he's full of it or if that really is going to work. They know it worked because they got there. And that's an advantage, I think, because they know what that looks like. That's why the Dakotas and the Montanas have so much success, because they've been to those places year after year after year after year, and it just becomes part of their program. For us, our hope is that you can create sustainable success so that every team adds into that experience and it just becomes part of the environment. So I'm not sure if they connect, because the teams are so different. You can't say that team is this team, but you hope that the guys that were a part of that can, instill that in the guys that weren't here. Like, this is what it takes to get to that part of the playoffs, or this is what it takes to compete in this conference. And that hopefully allows you to do it over and over again, so that you can create that as just part of your environment, instead of like a wishful, I hope we can do this. Now it turns into, we will do this every year. Yeah, I appreciate you asking the question. I think I would say it on two fronts. The first front would be, have we grown from the minute I got here to where we are now? Absolutely. And I'm really proud of the work that our administration and our staff and our players and everybody involved, our alumni, have done to improve that. Am I frustrated at the speed of which it's gone on? I am, and I think it's just more of an eye-opening thing for me as a new head coach, that it's going to take time, and you can't build it overnight. I'm more excited and enthusiastic about it than maybe the alumni are. And that just means I need to educate more people and get in front of more people. There's no doubt that when I can get in front of guys and people that have been involved in the program, that immediately there's a connection and they get involved. I think the issue has been that I can't get in front of everybody, and we don't have the network and the amount of people to make that happen as consistently as we need to. And so it just takes more time. So I think the timing of it is frustrating, because I know what our alumni and what our program is capable of, but I'm really grateful and proud of the work we have done and where we've gotten. And like I said, when I got here, I understand it's going to take time, and I'm willing to be here as long as I feel like people do want to be a part of it and they share the vision I have. Then I'll want to be here to see that through. And in 1 year, I've seen it in lots of people, so it makes me excited. Yeah, the sooner the better. I think it's not a secret that Caden Pinnock is in the lead, and that he comes into fall camp. If we had a game tomorrow, he'd be the guy. But in my experience, I still think you have to outright win the job. And I thought Grant played well enough in the spring where it was close enough where I wanted to see them go through an off season and see who made improvements and who put the time in. And I think, what I communicated to the quarterbacks and to the team is that, Caden is going to go with the ones. He's earned the right to be at the front of it. It's really his job to lose right now, or it's Grant's job to win in that scenario. And also we have a large amount of youth that we're bringing into the position that I want to evaluate and see what those guys look like. You never know if one of those guys comes in and just blows us out of the water. But the quarterback position is as healthy as I think it's ever been in all my years being here. With the amount of talent we have in that room, it's pretty staggering. Even at practice today, I was pretty eye-opening how much talent we have there. So the odds of us not having a great player come out of that room are pretty low. I think whoever survives that challenge in that room of Lions will be a great player. I think the important thing to make clear, and I did the same thing when Keelan left, is you just don't replace those guys. Like, there will never be another Land, and there will never be another Keelan, and there will never be another Chris Carter or a Tony Kays or a Dan Fells. Like, these guys don't come around again. They're once in a lifetime guys. So you don't replace them. What you do is you develop somebody new, and they become the first whoever, right? So the exciting thing is we have a lot of talent in that room. Jordan Fisher is someone we're extremely excited about. He had a great offseason. Jeff Burke could talk for hours about how impressive Jordan Fisher's been. Expect him to have a great season. Carter Vargas has an immense amount of talent, maybe the most talent of anybody in the room. And if he can mature as a young man, could be a great player. Mateo Perez is a guy that can play a lot of positions for us. He's a veteran that knows the offense as well as anybody and will provide a lot of security for us on the offense. So you have guys that are going to be good players, and you hope that like 4 years from now, you're asking me, gosh, how are you going to replace Jordan Fisher, right? Because I'm sure everybody was asking, how are we going to replace Lonzo Gilliam? He's the all-time leading rusher in the history of the school. Well, we replaced him with the greatest player maybe in the history of the school. So I think they just come year after year. You figure out who you're going to grow and who becomes the next guy. But Land is irreplaceable. He is, in my opinion, should go down as one of the greatest to ever put the jersey on. And you just hope that you can develop another great running back. And maybe it's not a running back for the next 4 years. Maybe it's a wideout. Maybe it's a tight end. Maybe it's a great quarterback. Maybe it's a great O-line. You don't know. And you just hope that in the next couple of years, you guys are asking me the same question about somebody else. But to be clear, Land is irreplaceable. He will not be here ever again. You know, you'll have to find somebody new that does something else. I've heard nothing but positive things, Bob. But man, you never know. You know, I think that I stand by what I said when he was coming out. He's an NFL football player. I think he'll play in the NFL a long time. And he will play a long time because of his value on special teams, the type of person he is, what he brings to a team. He could not be in a better situation with a great staff that understands the value of people like Land. And all I've heard privately is that he is extremely impressive. Yeah, I mean, it's a numbers game in the NFL. And, I try, when I talk to him, I just try to keep him level-headed and stay humble, keep working hard, He's going to have to find his niche, and whether it's with New England or with somebody else, you got to stay healthy, which is hard. He's got to stay healthy. He's got to put good tape out there. But, the same way Keelan's played in the league for 7-8 years, I would expect Land to do the same thing. Everything I've seen and heard is he's looked as good as he's ever looked. Yeah, I mean, that's a long discussion down at Froggy's or something probably one day. But in reality, every team has to choose whether they opt in or whether they don't opt in, And so the house settlement forces teams, if they want to opt into that, then they have to limit the roster down to 105. And basically what I was told is of the FCS, I think 60 teams have not opted in. And in the Big Sky, I think half the teams opted in and half the teams didn't. We are one of the teams that did not opt in. We're one of the programs that did not opt in. And the main reason for it, Scott, is if you choose to opt in, you're limiting your roster. And so you're going to have to remove people from the team. And that's not just the football team. That's water polo, soccer, girls basketball. I mean, whatever. It's every roster now has to hit a certain number. And that would mean that we as an institution would have to remove people that are on scholarship that we committed to from rosters. And rightfully so. I don't think Rocco or Chancellor May or anybody were comfortable with that. And so we've looked at, hey, let's give it a year so that all of our programs have the opportunity to look at their roster and prepare it accordingly, so that we're not mistreating our student athletes and allowing them to finish with their degrees. And so in 2026 is when we'll opt in. Yeah, I think nobody has higher expectations for us than us. Just like no one has higher expectations for me than myself. I would hope our players feel the same way. I welcome it because I love UC Davis, and I really want people to understand how great and special and unique this place is. And so anytime we get some type of recognition for that, it brings joy to my heart, because I love this place and I want it to be successful. But gosh, I mean, this game is so difficult. The teams we play are so talented and so well coached that I just think it's really foolish to think that you have a target on your back this year and you don't have it next year. I would hope that every team, the same way we are, is just hoping to create a good team and try to figure out a way to win every game. And so I welcome the notoriety for the program, because I think it helps us. Whether or not we have a target, I don't know. But I do know that we have a challenging schedule, and every team wants to beat us. I felt like they wanted to beat us last year. So I just focus on us trying to get as good as we can be, so that when we go play these teams, we have a chance to compete with them and hopefully figure out a way to win the game, whether it's 1-0 or 100-99. Well, I'm going to nerd out with you right now, Bob, if you're okay with it, but I'm really excited about this. We're doing something here that we've never done before, that Jeff Burke has really designed for the beginning of our camp. We're doing what we're calling like an OTA process. So like the first 6 days of our camp, we're actually doing an OTA. Like we did an OTA today. So it's like a lighter 50-minute, not a lot of high-speed running. We install offense, defense, special teams. We come back and do a full practice tomorrow with the same stuff we installed yesterday. And then we do another OTA after that. We slow them back down, and we take the high-speed running out, and then we do another high-octane practice where we have 2 days for that install. And then we come back and do an OTA where we ramp them back down, and then we go back to a full practice. And we've never done anything like this. It's Jeff's idea. It's to the genius of Jeff. And what we're trying to do is figure out, through all the years I've been coaching, at the beginning of camps is when you have all your injuries, soft tissue injuries, because guys are so freaking juiced that they just go and go and go and go. And our guys are at the razor's edge of training. So we're trying to treat it like a space shuttle, right? Like we're trying to build it up and build it up and build it up before it goes. And so for these first 6-7 days, we're trying something we've never done before. And then we get into what I call our 4-day window here. So we'll go 4 days on and 1 day off, where we'll have a pretty intense practice, full padded. We'll come back with a shells practice. We'll come back with a helmets practice. So it gets lighter as the week goes. And by the time you get to day 4, you have a scrimmage. Then you have a day off. So you have an intense practice, lowered intensity, scrimmage, day off. And we'll do that for 2 weeks after this initial OTA period. And then once that's finished, we'll have 2 weeks to prepare for our first game. And we'll basically treat the first week as though we're going to play on Saturday the 16th. We're going to go through the entire week as though we're playing them on the 16th. And then we'll give them that day off, and then we'll do it again the following week, and then play them on the 23rd. And I don't know if it's going to work, but I'm excited because we've never done it before. And going back to Scott's initial question, what can we do to be better? What are the things that can help us maybe get further? And Jeff and I sat down and really talked about what we could do differently. And maybe it won't work, but doing the same thing is going to get you the same results, in my opinion. And so I am super excited about that and to see how that plays out. And so if we stink, we can come back and say, well, Bob, remember that whole OTA thing? That was Burke's idea. Yeah, it's Jeff's idea. Get rid of it. Yeah. We have a game plan done for our first 3 opponents. So we have a game plan done already for Mercer. We have a game plan done already for Utah Tech, and we have a game plan done already for Washington. Our first 2 games we're going to play without them even having any new film, right? We're going to play Mercer without new film. We're going to play Utah Tech without new film. So whatever we have right now is what we're going to go into the game with. Now we might have a couple things that we noticed through camp, like, oh, we thought that was going to be good, but we actually stink at that, so that's in our game plan. We're going to take that out. But pretty much 90% of it's already done. And then we'll, check on Washington's first game and see how they look, see if anything's different. But if we have to make a couple tweaks, and then I think we have a bye at that point before we play Southern Utah. So by the time we get to the bye, we'll be able to have some new film that we can use for our new opponents. But whatever we're doing against Mercer, we already have it in, so I hope it works.